Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to my grandmother, my mother, and my sister. It is Sunday, and I wanted to do a video a little different. I get asked a lot, like how I got started, and people want to ask me questions or kind of want to interview me, which I think is interesting. But I'm the type of person I kind of like just keep to myself. But I do think it's a good idea to give you all a better idea of kind of how I got started and kind of where I'm at now through the whole process. For me, what really kicked it off, at least, is my former company. I had a 401k plan, and then when I left that company, I maybe a year after, because I didn't do it right away, because I honestly didn't even think about it, but I converted that 401k into a IRA account with TradeKing. And the reason why I chose TradeKing and my main motivation for doing investing, period, is I was trying to cut down on fees. When I chose Trade King, I think it was at times like $5 for a fee per trade. So I ended up going with him, and it was online, and it wasn't a like a brick and mortar institution because they would always take a lot more money. Although I was missing out, like I couldn't go into like a Scott trade and talk to somebody like, "Hey, I have a lot of questions," and they would like help me out. But my feelings at the time were I was always convinced, at least in my head, that people are always trying to get over on me when it comes to investing because you always hear bad things when it comes to like financial advisors and stuff like that. They treat you like ones and zeros. They don't look at you as a person. But more importantly, I like wanted to do it myself. I wanted to learn from myself. So that's kind of how I basically started it. But with Trade King, at the time, I had around like 3,000 in my 401k just for working a few years at the company. And it was like I was probably like anybody else where it just got set up automatically, which is great. But I didn't do anything to monitor it, didn't set it up, didn't choose how much I wanted to contribute, none of that stuff. I had it. And then like a year later or so, I got the letter in the mail basically saying, "Oh, you have this much in the account." It was here, it's going here, and I noticed it was going down. So that's why I took it out and put it into an IRA. And then from that point, I just started losing money because I started trading on my own, and just the fees were killing me just one after another. And it wasn't that I was making bad trades, at least not all the time. There was times I was making bad trades, obviously, because I was just starting. But like $5 to buy, $5 to sell all day, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. So that kind of killed me. And at the time, I was more interested in investing in like tech stocks. I've always been very interested in tech stocks, but then I eventually kind of branched out a little bit. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I was watching CNBC, Fox Business, Bloomberg. I was trying to get as much information as I can. I was reading articles online. I was very interested in it. I was definitely doing the right thing in terms of trying to educate myself instead of just picking stocks and then just forgetting about it. I was checking my phone every day, trying to learn every single day, and I still do that today. I still like to learn, which is the reason why I think I've done okay. I don't for a second think I'm a successful investor by any means, but I've done well enough for myself where I've continued to accumulate slowly but surely. But after a while doing that, I was starting to look for another way to put my money in. The problem is it was an IRA, so I couldn't like cash it out because then I would have to pay a penalty on it, which would suck. So I was just looking through things, and I honestly forget how I came across it, but I did eventually come across Robinhood, and I'm pretty sure because I was looking for like an investing app, Robinhood was one of the ones that came up. And then when I saw it, it said no trade commissions, so I was like, okay, like I definitely got to check this out. And from that point, it was just like, like my money was doing a lot better. Partly because I kind of got a lot of bad habits out of the way by losing money in terms of fees with Trade King, not knowing what I was doing and being brand new, and then choosing to go it alone. So, I was taking the full brunt of the burden. And I don't I don't want to say like don't do that because as an investor, even if you pay someone to invest your money for you, you should still know what's going on. It's your money after all, it's your livelihood. It's going to be taking care of you when you're old. You know, you might be able to pass it on to your kids. You know, it's an important topic that I don't think enough people, think about, and it concerns me. But again, like I could do many things to make myself a better investor, but I kind of just go at my own pace. And like I said, the whole reason why I do these videos is to give everybody an extra voice, basically, to listen to and potentially learn from. And you ultimately choose to listen to me. You choose if you want to do what I say. You choose, what to do with your money. I'm not telling you what to do. I always try to make that apparent in the videos, because whenever I watch other investors, it's like 50-50. A lot of them, or half of them, will say kind of what I'm saying in that sense, but the other guys will be like, you have to invest in this, you have to invest in that. And it's usually the people on the higher end that you'll see like on mainstream business news channels, and I bought into that, like Jim Cramer is probably like one of the most popular ones that you'll hear about. Like I watched this show, I watched, Fast Money. I've watched other shows, and like I was like, oh, okay, buy this, okay, sure, go on my phone and buy it. Oh, buy that, okay, sure, go on my phone and buy it. And I ultimately wasn't understanding what I was investing in. And I think that was kind of like one of the biggest mistakes I made. Now, that doesn't mean all the investments that I did because of them were bad, but it was bad because whenever I saw the money go down, I was like, screw this. And I just, I sold. And then the next few days, the stock went up. I wasn't investing much information. So when I did with the Robinhood, you could kind of call that like phase two if you want. I was going from Trade King. I still had that account going, and now I was starting a new one. And that's where I talked to my old videos. I basically got paid every Friday at my job. So I just took 20 bucks out of my check and just auto deposited it. So every check, just 20 bucks every Friday, $20, $20, $20. And that's basically how I started. And I started with two companies. Um, oh my God, it's been a while. ORC and I forget the other one, but it was a while ago. But one was a REIT, a real estate investment trust, and the other was a BDC, which was a business development company. So this was 2015, so it was under Obama. So we still had the kind of like the good bull market going, but of course it was coming off the 2008 crash. So there's only really one way to go up after all. If you would have made it go down, that would have been pretty fucking bad. Probably would have got impeached. But I had a steady increase, but the main reason why I chose those specific stocks too is because they paid a monthly dividend. So what I was banking on is I was holding them for getting just that slight increase, and then I was collecting those dividends and then reinvesting them. Now I also, as I deposited more money, I bought like Facebook. I bought Ventas, which was a real estate where they invest in senior housing, which did pretty well. Um, Realty Investment Trust, which is symbol O, probably like the most popular REIT. That's very, very consecutive, always continuing to go up. Great company. And then like a few others, and it was buy and hold. I was going for the long term strategy, and kind of towards the end of 2015, going into 2016, I did pretty well. And I took that money, cashed out, and then I paid off my credit. And around the time, I had like around like 15,000 credit, and I was paying it down with my paychecks. And I think I got it down to like maybe like 12 or 11 just from taking money out of my paychecks. And I took another 2 or 3 thousand that I made from investing, and then I put more on it. So I was under the $10,000 debt limit, which is great, like because I was at that high number for like a long time. So I was able to pay it down. And then 2016, that's when like the game really changed because I started using Acorns. I was, in my opinion, I was becoming more knowledgeable. I was understanding how to like look into companies. I was using the Seeking Alpha app to read articles on top of, Googling articles, YouTubing videos. Anytime I got any kind of interest in any stock, like that day, like just an hour, just researching at least an hour, just going into it and trying to learn about it. And I ultimately made this decision if I wanted to. Now I wasn't doing a lot of technical analysis at the time, looking at charts. But I would see charts and I'm like, yep, it's going up, so that must be a good thing, so I would buy into it. But it was mostly I was basing things off of fundamental analysis. And then, that was going pretty well. Then like mid 2016, that's when I started getting into more like technicals and I started doing like penny stocks. And around that time too, I had cashed out again, and my debt was continuing to come down from my paychecks, and then I took another big chunk out, and then I also took out Acorn or yeah, Acorns as well, and I also helped pay that as well. And I had like a few credit cards at the time, so like I had like maybe like five or something. Then I cut it down to like two, and then just keep working it down. That was the whole motivation using these apps was to pay down that debt. And 2016 to 2017, penny stocks, like I wasn't sticking to it, like kind of like right now where like I'm taking a big break from it. I was just doing little by little, but I was still kind of sticking to the original strategy because I was making money. And then at the end of 2017, I had like stopped it, and I just kind of like just kept going with the norm. And again, same thing at the end of like basically like every like I won't say like every 6 months on the dot or anything, but I would cash out whatever gains I had and just keep paying down debt because I wanted to move. With the place I was at, I wanted to move out and I want to move to my own place, which I'm at now. So that was just kind of incentivizing me some more. And then in the beginning of 2017, this year, after that pop, after the election results when Trump won, like the market was continuing to go up. And I was like, all right, so I was kind of banking on a crash at then because it seemed like an 8-year cycle because 2000 was a crash, 2008 was a crash. There's a lot of people predicting 2016 was going to be a crash, but when they see a rich guy get into the White House, all the wealthy investors threw all their money into the market apparently. So here we are still going at it. But then 2017 to kind of now, I've been doing a penny stocks on and off. And for me, it's been difficult because Robinhood with its chart, which I've been like learning more and more about, like doing technical analysis, like it's very basic. I'm sure if you used it, you know what I'm talking about. But I'll use stockcharts.com, and I learned about using MACD, RSI, moving averages, candlesticks, other various tools, basically for using technical analysis, and that kind of helped me with my penny stock. So like, again, I'd watch videos, I'd read articles, I watch on TV, I try to teach this to myself. And I got to the point where I was good enough to make money, but the platform I was using was kind of limited. Now, I don't in any way say Robinhood is the reason why I couldn't make more money. Robinhood's a great tool, and I recommend it to anybody who wants to start. But the thing is, it's catered towards someone who's brand new, which I still consider myself to be new to investing. Only been doing it like a couple of years, but it's a beginner level tool. It's very basic. Now I've talked about in other videos. I want to take that money and move it to oh God, I'm forgetting on the name, but like a different platform that gives me more tool analysis, that I'm able to use charts, and I'm able to draw lines and things like that, but I'm doing it on my platform that I'm trading on, where stock charts is a separate. All it is just a charting tool. You can't buy and sell on it. It's not an exchange. I want to be able to do all this charting tools on an exchange. That way, when I make my trades, I can have everything right there, and it's just easier. Um, so that's something I'm kind of working towards now. But building up to that, I was using the stock charts platform to trade penny stocks, and whenever I would see a reversal in MACD, where the 12 and 9 day and the 26 days would like meet at a certain point, or the RSI was like shooting up or shooting down. When it was shooting down, it kind of starting to come back up, I would get into it, or if it was going too high, I would sell. I was using those tools, and I was ultimately getting a little better at it. But just every time, like when I look at that Robinhood chart, when I kind of find that time I want to specifically buy during the day because usually I'm out working, and I need like a quick little look, like, oh, it went down, so I want to buy it, or it went up, so I don't want to buy it, and it was just like a simple line, and it got to the point where I wasn't making the best judgment. I was making good judgments using the charting software, but I can't when I'm at work, I can't just break out my laptop and just start, like doing charts, like I only have access to my phone, and I work out in the field, so I'm using my hands like I'm busy, like I'm working on like systems and stuff, and it makes it kind of difficult. So I'm trying to like upgrade that. But coming from that stock chart software to Robinhood was just the killer. It's just so difficult, and I did my best to give you all ideas and ways to do it to start out. And some of the ways I showed you may have worked for you. Some of the ways I showed you may have not worked for you, but like I was able to utilize it and make some money, but I also lost some money. And I tried to show you those moments when I made some money and those moments when I lost some money, because nobody's right 100% of the time. A lot of people will, a lot of good people will hopefully tell you that, but there are people that are like, oh, you can have a 99%, you know, uh, be right and guess the right stocks, which is complete BS. Like you can't be 99% right. That's ridiculous. To say you're that well of a predictor of the market, it's too much. You could be right like 60% of the time, and you could still be very rich. You just the 60% of the time you're right, you bet big, and the 40% you're wrong. You bet small, and you could easily be a very rich person. You don't have to be right 100% of the time. But now, more recently, I've been using the Coinbase app and getting into Bitcoin, because like a lot of times when I make videos, you'll hear me talk. I'll talk like the macroeconomics of the situation. I'll talk about how the election affects things. I'll talk about how the when politicians pass new legislation, it affects things. When they're talking about passing that $50 billion legislation to increase military spending, defense stocks took a to rise on that. When they were talking about deregulating the banks, the bank stocks jumped up on that. When they talk about repealing Obamacare or Affordable Care Act, the healthcare stocks took a rise on that. Things like that maybe people do or don't think about, but they really do affect the market. And now that we essentially have a businessman, as our president, it's like every day, like there's times when he was sending out tweets. I think it was like about Boeing or somebody, and they were saying like the deal they have with the Air Force One plane, and it cost too much, and then Boeing stock came down, and it's so many things like that that I think people need to pay attention more of. And I talk about the election in France, and if Marine Le Pen would have won, she wanted to leave the EU, um, like Theresa May wants to do with Britain. They wanna do the Brexit. And I was like, the more countries that leave the EU, the EU is going to collapse, and the EU is tied to a global market. So like all the countries that invest with it would also collapse, like America, just like 2008 when America his economy had collapsed. Other countries collapsed as well. It wasn't just us, although people think it was just us. A lot of countries suffered from it too. We're a global trading community now. You can't deny that anymore. That's why when like people will get mad about like immigration or things like that, like you have no idea. You have no idea like how connected we truly are, and instead of being scared of that, you should embrace it, because the more you understand, the better outcome you can have of it. That's why I don't watch just like CNN or whatever like that. I watch world news. Like I watch Russia's news. I watch Canada's news. I watch Europe's news. I watched Al Jazeera in the Middle East news. I watched Australia's news. Because every time there's some kind of deals going on over there, and it's a worldwide company they're talking about that's connected with other countries, the stocks fluctuate because of it. So people don't pay attention to that enough, and I think they should. Now, I'm not saying you have to be like me and be like a news junkie and watch your stuff all the time, but if you're at the very least invested in a company that is a global company, you should understand that what countries that company's in and what it's doing and how it affects it, because that's your investment, that's your money, that's your future. But that's kind of the reason why I got into Bitcoin, because I look at all the previous crashes, and I can't name them all. I just know like the late '80s, I think, and then 2000, 2008, were the ones in my lifetime. In 2000 and 2008, I remember pretty well, because I was old enough to remember them. And I think the people managing our money, it's it's a game to them. It's who's got the most currency, how many countries are we in, how much money are we making. We're 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 in this perpetual war. Like, for instance, the United States is like 200, or the America, I guess you could say, is 240 years old. since we've established ourselves, but we've been at war for like over 200 years. Like that's fucking insane if you think about it. But every time we go into another country, we set up bases, we continue our military spending, and we stay in those countries and we have them adopt our currency. The U.S. currency is like 60% of world currency. Like just think about that. Like almost 200 countries in the world, and 60% of the world uses the US dollar as a currency, or at the very least, it is exchangeable in their country. And that's all from war. That's all from us going out of our own country into other countries and, establishing ourselves and, having them adopt our currency. That's why we topple some dictators in the Middle Eastern countries because they want to use their own currency. But the United States is like, nah, fuck that. You're going to use the US dollar. You're going to use the petrodollar. You're going to use what we tell you to do. And it's awful to say that, but I mean it's a fact of reality. And I invest in defense stocks, bank stocks, oil stocks because those are when I look at the world and how it is, those are the companies that are going to make money. Unfortunately, so it's a fucked up game, but it is what it is. But I also invest in Bitcoin because I'm hedging myself because I still don't trust a lot of what our bankers, our politicians, and stuff are doing. And I do think they're gearing up for another bubble to burst. And then when everything comes crashing down, that's when the real money comes in. Because when shit's brought down to zero, as low as it could fucking go, that's when they come just scoop it up for pennies on the dollar. And then they invest long term. They hold that because they know it's going to rise, it's going to lead to another bubble, then crash again. That's all our economy is just a bunch of booms and busts. And when everything busts, all the poor people, the 99% of us, that aren't millionaires, we suffer. We lose everything. We lose our homes, our cars, our families. Some people lose their lives. They jump off buildings and kill themselves. 2008, there was so many suicides. It's ridiculous. But that's why I look at Bitcoin because it's the future in my mind of what trading is and investing and just doing finance in general. Because if I wanted to run a business and let's say I need someone to do I don't know, like make me a cool little intro video or whatever, right? I could pay someone here in Silicon Valley. It'd probably be expensive, because it's expensive to live here as it is, let alone get paid. But if I have a Bitcoin account, let's say someone in India who's a software developer, 3D programmer, whatever, has a Bitcoin account, I could probably pay him, less money, but for him it'd be still a lot of money. But for me, it'd be less money, more affordable. But he doesn't have to like immigrate here to like help me like do the project. He could do it from where he lives and just send it to me like, here you go, here's the video. And I go, okay, here you go, here's your Bitcoin. And he exchanges it for like rupees or whatever, or he keeps it as Bitcoin because rupees the fucking depreciating so much. Bitcoin's worth way more. And I pay him. Like that's the thing with Bitcoin. I don't got to go out of my Wells Fargo to do a wire transfer across overseas to go into his whatever his bank account is to go to his wallet, and go through all that and pay all the fees that go with that. It's just a simple transaction. That's what Bitcoin is. People who want to run businesses can do a lot more, like small businesses. Like you look at big corporations taking advantage of third world countries for the longest time, taking advantage of like slave labor and stuff like that. It's all part of Bill Clinton's globalization wet dream. Just like fucking just screwing over other countries. As long as the United States only got to pay $2 a gallon and can get a fucking T-shirt for like $5, we're all happy. We don't care who the fuck makes it. We don't care that if it's a child or whatever. Who gives a shit, right? That's what they're thinking. But now, you could, as small investors, as like small time business people, you could also use cryptocurrency to pay people, but you don't have to like do it on the level of like big business and like take advantage of people. You could be like, hey man, this is a guy who's just trying to feed his family and he knows how to do something that I don't know how to do and I could pay him and he's better off for it and I get what I want and he gets money to feed his family. Like that's the growth of finance. That's the growth of what Bitcoin is. That's the growth of the blockchain technology. It's you're able to not only prop up yourself, but all everyone, all the countries. The internet's everywhere. As long as you can get signal, you can have email. You can have with blockchain technology, you can have finance. It's expanding how we do business. It's expanding, how we think of finance. It's expanding how we do everything. And I think people that invest in Bitcoin right now are looked at as like the lunatics, like because they say, oh, doesn't it crash? Isn't it lose money? Yeah, Bitcoin market crashes, just like the stock market crashes, except the stock market's been doing it a lot longer, a lot more booms, a lot more busts. You remember Tulip Mania towards the beginning, when people bet on fucking flowers and shit. Those damn little tulip bulbs or whatever the fuck. And one of those tulip bulbs was like the price of a house, and then the market crashed and then everyone went broke. People have been done the boom and bust cycle through the market for decades, for centuries. Bitcoin's it's going through its own thing and it's out there on its own, and already so many countries have adopted it. But that's why I kind of got interested, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I know I went off a little bit of a tangent there, but the reason why I bring it up is that, like I said, I think it's a good way just to hedge against the overall market is have your money not only diversified within the market itself, but diversified outside of the market. If you're in forex, other currencies or whatever, like if you want to buy like Switzerland's currency, their currency is pretty stable. I think even in 2008, they didn't really get affected much by it, which was just shows how strong their economy is. The German economy's been strong ever since the end of World War II. You know, conspiracy theory, but they say all the Nazi money helped propped up companies like VW and Siemens and all the other companies out there that are German companies that are worldwide, global, dominant companies. But either way, there's ways to hide your money. There's ways to keep it safe, and that's what where I'm at now in my mindset is not only how do I grow my wealth, how do I protect myself? Because you could live in this little bubble mindset where you're like, I'm just going to keep money. It's going to keep going up, going up, going up for years and years. But one day when that market crashes, what are you going to do? You just lost everything you worked for. It's gone. Like fucking poof, out of there. So I think thinking about ways to spread it out is good. That's why I have several apps. Like I know it seems tedious probably to people have different apps, but I have different apps for different purposes. Like my stash is long term investing. My Acorns is like my savings account. My loyal three is like my individual stocks. I get a pick, which is more fun and interesting, at least for me. My Bitcoin is to hedge myself against the market. My Wealthfront is my nephew's college savings account. Um, my Trade King still has my IRA in it. I have a work 401k. I have a health savings account for myself. I have money spread out for different things, different purposes. So I don't have to just have one giant account and just keep pulling the money out of it and it keeps going down in value. I could say, oh, I'm just going to pull out of my Acorns because that's my emergency account. And then all my other accounts don't get touched and they just continue to grow. That's kind of how I think about it. But I wanted to give you all that kind of timeline of kind of how I started where I'm at. Like I said, I've only been doing it a couple of years. I'm still young to this. I'm still new to it. But I think it's good from my perspective to inform you all as much as possible because it's intimidating when you watch like a millionaire investor tell you what to do and you're just like, oh yeah, sure, buy this stock, just buy 10,000 shares, and there you go, boom, you made $250,000. And I'm just like, fuck, I can't even afford 10 shares, let alone 10,000. So I think it helps having more people on different levels of investing at different starting points, and hopefully you all benefit from it. That's the whole goal of this. I can't think of any other better reason for doing this than letting you all learn from my mistakes or my successes, and then you could adopt whatever mindset you want from this, and you could better yourself. So hopefully this will help you out and give you a better understanding of kind of how this all came into fruition. And I think from there that's kind of where I'm at today. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And always tell your parents you love them, especially your mothers. Without your parents, you wouldn't be alive today. I'm blessed. I hope you're all as blessed as I am to have your family in your life. Um, and then of course, if you guys have any questions on anything, I do my best to answer. I don't always give you maybe the right answer you want. I just give you the best answer that I can to hopefully further you along in your investing career. And if you like my channel, as always, click like and subscribe. Um, I mentioned in the past I'm gonna start putting my wallets in the description. If you guys want to donate, a dollar, like anything. I'm gonna try getting like a better camera setup, maybe a backdrop instead of doing this in front of a wall every time. And hopefully one day I'll grow the channel to be something more of my dream, where I could like give you guys an economic news show, and I could have like the video and the pictures going on. I could be off to the side talking, and then it could be just more entertaining for you all to watch and ultimately learn from. The main thing is learning because there's a lot of crap on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. I feel bad saying that, but like when I look at a guy getting kicked in the nuts get 10 million views, and then I see the story of when Boko Haram kidnapped those 300 girls, and that gets like 1,000 views. I'm just like, fucking hey, man, like the world is so backwards. We need more people trying to help one another, trying to teach one another. So this is me trying to do that, and also, like I said, always pay tribute to those that came before me, and also go out of their way to teach and make videos to try to help you guys. So hopefully this is benefiting you all from that. So with that, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Talk to you later.